Every day starts before yesterday ended. Not literally, but it feels that way. You wake up and somehow something is already waiting for you. An email you didn't answer, a message you forgot about, a bill, a task, a promise, something hanging there before your feet even touch the floor. Nothing is on fire, nothing is falling apart, but something already feels unfinished. You didn't fall behind today. You woke up that way. That's what makes this feeling so difficult to explain. It doesn't feel like a bad day. It feels like the day started in the middle of something. And that's a strange way to start a life, because there was a time when a day felt like a day. It started, it happened, then it ended. Now it feels different. Now it feels like every day inherits the leftovers from the one before it. You wake up carrying yesterday, and tomorrow is already waiting. A lot of people think this feeling comes from being busy. But being busy isn't the strange part. The strange part is that nothing ever feels complete. Some people are incredibly busy and still feel alive. They finish a long day and feel like the day actually ended. That's the difference. You answer one thing, 3 more appear. You finish a project, another one replaces it. You clean the house. A few hours later, it looks like you didn't. You finally catch up on messages. More arrive. You get through the week. Then Monday shows up again. The work itself isn't always the problem. It's the feeling that you're never arriving anywhere. You're constantly moving, but emotionally, it feels like standing in the same place. That's why so many adults have this strange experience. They're functioning, they're productive, they're responsible, but underneath all of it, they quietly feel behind. And after a while, life stops feeling like something you live. It starts feeling like proof you're still keeping up, proof you're responsible enough, productive enough, organized enough, functional enough. Not to move forward, just not to fall behind. Not behind on one thing, behind on life itself. You see it in small moments, like sitting in your car before work. Not because you're early, because you're trying to gather enough energy to start another day that already feels half used. Or opening your laptop at night just to check one thing, then somehow 30 minutes disappear. Or spending an entire weekend doing errands, laundry, groceries, cleaning, appointments, and somehow you're already preparing for Monday. Then Sunday night arrives and you realize something uncomfortable. The weekend happened. But you weren't really free. You were recovering. And recovery isn't the same thing as living. That's one of the strangest parts. You can do everything you're supposed to do, everything, and still feel like you're losing ground, because the problem isn't that you're failing. The problem is that your life became organized around preventing failure. Think about how much of adulthood is maintenance. Your income, your health, your relationships, your future. And eventually, maintenance stops feeling like a responsibility. It starts feeling like the purpose of life. You spend years building stability. Then one day, you realize stability requires constant maintenance. And suddenly, your reward for handling your responsibilities is more responsibilities. Not because anyone tricked you, because that's what happens. The more pieces your life has, the more pieces need attention. The strange thing is how normal this feels. People joke about it. People laugh about being exhausted. People laugh about never having enough time. But underneath the jokes is something else. A quiet anxiety. A voice that says, if I stop for too long, things start slipping. And once that anxiety gets strong enough, rest changes. Rest isn't relief anymore. Rest becomes a negotiation. You sit on the couch, you open Netflix, you take a day off, and part of your brain keeps talking. You should be doing something. You forgot something. You're wasting time. You'll pay for this tomorrow. Nothing ruined relaxation faster than feeling responsible for everything, because eventually you stop resting. You don't really rest. You just pause. And there's a huge difference between those two things. A pause still belongs to the work. Rest belongs to you. A lot of people haven't felt that difference in years. The scary part is how invisible this becomes. Nobody notices. You still show up. You still pay bills. You still smile when someone asks how you're doing. You become very good at looking functional, and that's where something starts changing. Slowly, almost too slowly to notice, the goal stops being living. The goal becomes keeping everything running, not because you're trying to build something, because you're trying not to lose what you already have. And before you realize it, maintaining becomes the lifestyle. And that's why so many people feel exhausted. They're carrying hundreds of unfinished things, not huge things, tiny things, little obligations, little worries. Individually, they seem harmless. Together, they become background noise. And background noise is dangerous because you stop hearing it. You just live inside it. Then, one day, somebody asks you what you've been doing lately, and you don't know how to answer. You've been busy. But busy doing what? Keeping life operational, making sure nothing breaks. That's when a strange realization starts showing up. Maybe you're not actually moving toward anything. Maybe you're mostly preventing things from falling behind. And those are not the same thing. For a while, that feels responsible. Then it starts feeling exhausting. Then eventually, it just becomes your life. And after a while, you stop noticing it, because when something becomes normal, you stop questioning it. You stop asking whether it's working. You stop asking whether it's worth it. You stop asking whether there's another way to live. You just continue, day after day, week after week, year after year. Then one morning, you wake up and realize something uncomfortable. You don't remember the last time life felt caught up. Not yesterday, not last month, maybe not even last year. There's always another thing, always another responsibility, always another loose end, always another future version of yourself you're trying to reach. And that's when the belief quietly falls apart. The belief that one productive day will finally fix everything. It won't. The list was never designed to end. The responsibilities were never designed to end, and neither were you. Because somewhere along the way, life became something you're always behind on. Not your inbox, not your calendar, not your chores. Your life. That's why catching up feels impossible, because you're treating life like a backlog, as if one more productive week will finally create enough space to relax, as if one more push will finally make everything okay. But notice what keeps happening. The finish line moves. Every time you get closer, then life adds something else. You solve one problem, another appears. You create space, something fills it. Not because you're doing anything wrong, because that's how maintenance works. It regenerates. And maybe that's why so many people feel tired. In a way, sleep doesn't fix. They're not recovering from effort. They're recovering from never feeling finished. Even when the day is over, something still feels unfinished. Maybe while listening to this, there's probably something in the back of your mind, something you've been putting off. You'll get to it eventually. And maybe that's become so normal, you barely notice it anymore. Just life. The kind where every day begins with yesterday's leftovers, where weekends become recovery periods, where rest feels guilty, where nothing ever feels finished. Most people don't call that a problem, they call it adulthood. And maybe that's why it lasts so long, because nobody questions something that looks normal. They just keep carrying it, quietly, year after year, waiting for the day they finally catch up, the day everything settles. The day they can stop holding everything together, the day life finally feels complete. Maybe that's why catching up never works, because life was never a backlog. And after a while, most of your energy wasn't going into living. It was going into keeping things running, making sure nothing falls apart, making sure you're not the one who falls behind. And maybe that's the part people don't like to admit. Deep down, most people already know they've been trying to finish something that doesn't end.